Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness.
Hello, girls, and welcome back to another episode of the Women's Fitness Academy's podcast. I'm your host, Siggy, one of the educators and a women's mindset coach. If you haven't done already, please make sure that you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss another podcast, and drop us a review if you are loving what you are hearing. Today, I'm chatting with one of my besties. I hate that fucking word, but she is my best friend, Kate Morris, who we actually did a podcast about 18 months ago, and now we are inseparable, which is so sickening to even say that, but I fucking love ya. Anyway, for those who don't know who Kate is, she's a nutritionist, online coach, PET, and also a business mentor who is helping women dream bigger, reach their full potential, get strong, and make some bank. Now, Kate, you know I don't play around and I can't stand small talk. It gives me the absolute ick. So let's start by addressing some common myths about the online fitness coaching space. What are some of the misconceptions that you've come across, and how do they impact the industry?
Really great question. To be honest, I feel like when you're getting into your business or when you're starting your business, we always walk around with this badge of honor. I can do it myself. I know what I'm doing. I'll figure it out. We almost want to be like getting a reward or getting a medal for coming from the bottom and building a really great business on our own. However, the way that I actually look at it is like you're only cock blocking your own growth if you're trying to focus on ironing out the creases and doing it all by yourself. So one of the biggest things I see is like everybody in the health and fitness industry, they do their Cert 3 and 4, they spend money on their qualification, they finish, they hire their own coach, because we all know if you want to be a great coach, you need to be coached by somebody else. They take their health and fitness really seriously. However, they neglect taking their business fucking seriously. And to be honest, it is the most important part of running a business is actually taking your business seriously, because how are you going to have a business if you're not doing that?
In your definition, what does it look like someone taking their business seriously and someone who isn't serious about it?
I think the biggest thing for me is actually learning how to run a business. So obviously when you finish your Cert 3 and 4, yes, here at the Women's Fitness Academy, we have great resources. I teach a couple of the modules in the business one. Like, we have great resources, but actually being able to invest and continue upskilling and learning more intricate things around, especially if you're wanting to be in the online space, selling, language, personal brand, marketing, how to position yourself in the online space and actually start to leverage your unique voice, your unique opinions, and your social media presence is so, so important. And I really think if you're somebody who's getting into the industry and you're listening to this now and you're not willing to take social media seriously, I think you're being an idiot. And I say that with so much love, but we live in the 21st century where social media is literally at our fingertips. We have this beautiful opportunity to be able to reach and impact people's lives from all over the world, but you need to actually understand how to use this to its full potential. And I see a lot of coaches, and again, guys, I say this with a lot of love, a lot of coaches fucking around, throwing shit at a wall, trying to see what actually sticks without having any sort of strategy, any sort of blueprint, any sort of understanding, and any sort of marketing as well.
It's so true. It takes me back to when I first started playing with social media, and I was literally throwing anything and everything at it. And it's not and like you said, it's not a way of going about it, because if one thing works, you're not going to know if the other thing did or didn't, because you're literally trying like 1,000 things. And I'm sure you can relate to that as well.
And I think the biggest thing for me, and it's funny, whenever I say this, my clients always laugh at me, but it's data collection. It's actually really starting to try things that, you know, you've learned from a mentor or a workshop or a seminar and seeing if that works for your audience. Collecting data and then being able to manipulate that data to see what actually works for the people that are watching your content. So I always say this, like, Sig, if me and you were to post the exact same content with a different photo, and then we changed out the wording based on our own tonality, based on our own personality, our own opinions, there are going to be people that resonate more with your post than they will with mine. And that's just based on our different audiences and using that kind of data collection.
It's so true. And too often with data collection, people are not navigating it the right way as well. You know, speaking of data, some coaches will probably be listening to this right now thinking, oh, is it towards the likes, the comments, the follows? And that's just like a really small fraction of the data.
Yeah. And honestly, they're just vanity metrics. So I always say this to my clients, never focus on the vanity metrics. And what I mean by vanity metrics are things like likes, views on your stories. The only metrics I would be focusing on are things like link clicks on your Instagram, saves and shares of your posts. They are important because when somebody is actually going to the level of saving it, they're probably wanting to go back and read it later. They probably feel like, holy shit, that bit of content really hit home. That changed my perspective. I can utilize or use this in everyday life. I can change that in my business, in my health and fitness. And same thing if they're sharing it. 9 times out of 10, if somebody's sharing it, it's probably because they're like, holy shit, my friend needs to read this. Or that's a really good thing that me and my girlfriend were speaking about the other day. That hits the nail on the head. So when I think or I speak of data collection, I really don't mean leaning into the vanity metrics, because vanity metrics is only going to be a bit of a head fuck. When we start to notice that, and we know with the Instagram algorithm, it is volatile. Sometimes you are getting heaps of story views. Sometimes they plummet and you get barely any. If I relied on my story views to make any sort of money or progress in my business, I would have stopped showing up 3 years ago. Because vanity metrics of how many people are viewing my stories, I actually don't care. Because if one day I have 7,000 people viewing it, or one day I have 500 people, if I had 500 people buy my course or want to work with me one-on-one, I wouldn't even have the capacity to let those people into my world. So vanity metrics is a really interesting one. And if you're somebody starting a business, don't be dictated of how much you show up on social media based on how many views you're getting or how many likes you're getting. It's only going to prevent you from growing.
And that leads me to the next question, because that is one of the main mistakes that we witness with our own clients and mentees. What are some other frequent mistakes that online fitness coaches are making in their business who are trying to increase their revenue?
Yeah. 3 things that kind of come to mind. Firstly, boring fucking content. Guys, I'm coming in savage today, but boring content. I see it all the time. I see people regurgitating other coaches that are doing quote unquote better than them or are more successful in the industry's content. It's not authentic. It doesn't scream authenticity. And it also doesn't allow you to actually speak to your target audience, because you're just trying to remake another coach, which probably has a different target audience to you. So boring content is probably one of the biggest things. Again, the regurgitation and the copying of content and not having your own authenticity around it would be number 2. So actually being able to leverage your own unique opinions, your own unique voice. The way that you explain things is going to be different to everybody else. So being able to actually lean into that and utilize that can be a really big thing in your business. And probably the third one for me would be even just like not understanding your dream clientele. Because when people are on social media, I notice that a lot of coaches try and speak to everybody. But when you're trying to speak to everybody, you're speaking to no one. So being able to understand to the core who your dream client is, and not just like, I work with women between the ages of 20 and 30 who want to get strong and train hard in the gym. It's like, why do they want to get strong? Have they had periods of their life where they were made to feel small and made to feel weak? Have they gone through a really hectic injury that has prevented them from going to the gym for the last 4 years? And actually getting down to the nitty-gritty of why these people need your help. Because then when you're actually producing content and you're talking about your offers and you're selling, you're able to speak to these people that actually need you.
It definitely hit home with regurgitating content from other people and the copying side of things. It's interesting because, you get into a creative mode and your Instagram and you're trying to find all these like new ways of putting content, but then you're getting stuck into the hole of actually consuming way too much. And then, as you said, like we're consuming so much from other people, then we're seeing other people's content and we're like, oh, should we be doing that? Okay, let's try and do that. But then you're losing the authentic side of your actual own message.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I think it's really important that yes, we can take inspiration from other people. There are, coaches in the industry that I look up to. There are people in my life that I look up to that you are constantly taking inspiration from. But there's a difference between being inspired and then obviously just regurgitation. And I think if you're finding yourself in this looped, repetitive cycle of, I'm not creative, I have no content ideas, I don't know what to post, nobody listens to my content or likes my stuff, it's like, how much or how many hours are you spending consuming other people's content? Because of course you're not going to feel creative if you don't even have time or spaciousness to let your own imagination and creativity run wild. So if you're constantly over consuming, viewing other people's content all the time, of course you're just going to be regurgitating everything else because you're not giving your brain spaciousness to think of your own thoughts.
So when we're talking about that, how can they avoid mistakes?
I think the first thing is like, if you have an opinion on a certain topic, don't be afraid to say it. Now, obviously, this comes with a preface of we are not saying outlandish claims like, I have the cure for diabetes. We're not doing crazy shit like that. However, if you have an opinion on a certain topic, say around training to failure, if you don't believe that you should be training to failure every single set with every single exercise with every single session that you do in the gym, it's okay to have that opinion because we know that both actually works for muscle growth. Yes, one might be more optimal, but we know that if you train to failure, you're going to grow muscle. And even if you don't train to failure every single time, you can still grow muscle mass. So being able to have your own unique voice and your own unique opinions, but still say them online is really, really powerful. Now, obviously, when it comes to looking at other people's branding or color palettes and things like that, what do you like? What do you like absorbing? What do you like watching? And then start creating content that aligns with what you enjoy doing and what you enjoy watching as well.
It's so true because too often, as you mentioned, we get stuck into that hole of what everyone else is doing and not actually taking on board of what we're actually passionate about writing and creating. And again, it comes back to what's the message that you're wanting to come across by, and then living authentically to your services, not someone else's point of view. And that takes me to my next question regarding branding and marketing, because being in the space of social media, on the online presence, it can get really foggy around the type of marketing that we do. So how important is branding and marketing in the world of the online fitness coaching? And what are some creative ways for coaches to stand out in this, saturated, quote unquote, market?
Yeah, love that. I feel even that, like, it's oversaturated. Yeah, there's a lot of coaches, but like, how many good coaches are there? And also there's a lot of lawyers, but how many good lawyers are there? There's a lot of plumbers, but how many good plumbers are there? So every industry that you're in is going to feel oversaturated because you're in it and you're living and breathing it. Now, I think when we think about branding and marketing, when we're talking about brand versus branding, I think it's important that we preface the difference between these two, because this is what I think a lot of people mix up when they start getting into posting their content and building their logos and building their businesses. So the difference, or the way that I like to look at brand versus branding, is brand is how do people feel when they come across your brand? Do they feel strong? Do they feel empowered? Do they feel like they can unlock their full potential? Do they feel like, wow, this girl is a bad bitch? How do they feel when they come across your brand, your Instagram, your website, whatever it is? So when we think of Nike and Prada, those two brands have two very different feels. They have a brand identity. Prada, when you walk in, you know that you're going to get high level quality service. You know, it's a luxury experience. You're probably going to even notice that you dress different to go and buy your first Prada bag. When you go to Nike, how do you feel? I can do it. I can run a marathon. I'm going to buy a new pair of runners and start running tomorrow. So the brand feels of these two companies are very, very different. So when you're thinking about building a brand, I want you guys to really think about, okay, how do I want people to feel when they're coming across my content, when they're, listening to a podcast that I'm on, when they're watching one of my reels that I post on Instagram or TikTok, how are they going to feel? Now, when we talk about branding, this is the thing like fonts, color palettes, and how much your Canva things kind of stand out on Instagram. So when you're wanting to look at your branding, the thing that I tell my clients is pick 4 colors and keep it simple. So 2 colors can be very like basic blacks, off-whites, grays, white, whatever it is. And then 2 accent colors that you can kind of rotate through over time. And obviously, as your brand evolves, these are going to change. Like if we could I wish we could insert a little photo of my old logo versus my new logo, because my old logo was horrific. But these things are always going to change as you build your brand and your company along the way. But being able to have color palettes, so not that your Instagram needs to look aesthetic, because I don't think if your Instagram doesn't look pretty or not, like that's going to not, like if you guys go and look at my Instagram, it's chaos. Like I don't have pretty aesthetics. Like, yeah, I have color palettes, but that's pretty much all. Where I don't think that because your Instagram looks pretty is going to negate whether someone purchases or not. However, it is really cool to be able to link whose post is that. So if Instagram, and I say this to my clients as well, if Instagram was to get rid of your name and your photo, and it was only your colors of your branding and your tonality and your opinions, would your followers know that, oh yeah, Kate Morris wrote that post? So that's how I like to look at content creation as well. It's like, okay, brand is how it feels, branding is color palettes, and then we need to use our unique voice, opinions, personality, tonality to actually get our point and messaging across.
Such an important message, because too often, again, it goes back to having different views because of what people are doing and not actually taking on board of what you're wanting to express and putting that personal touch into it. In regards to the marketing side of things, because again, like with the branding and the coloring, yes, it's important, but you said it's not like the bees and knees, but in terms of marketing them out there, and especially regarding strategies, what I would love for you to share some insights around like what are some effective marketing strategies for coaches?
I think the biggest thing with marketing is like get really good at and get really comfortable, I should say, at actually talking about your offers. Actually getting on your stories and talking about the amazing life-changing work that you do. Because I know everybody who's listening to this podcast who has decided to do their Cert 3 and 4 in fitness, or maybe they're just somebody who wants to run a business eventually, whatever that looks like, mindset, whatever. You know deep down to your core listening right now that the work that you are going to do is going to change lives. So let's start fucking acting like it. Because what happens is we get so in our own heads around like, oh, maybe we're annoying, maybe we're not talking enough, maybe we're not doing this. But it's like people actually need to hear what it is that we're talking about to want to work with you. It takes a person on average 7 times to see something before they purchase any of your services. So when you're marketing or you're thinking about marketing, think about big companies like RACV, for example. You get in the car, on the radio, you hear their ads. You get a flyer in the letterbox, you see them on TV, and do you ever think, oh my God, RACV is so annoying? No, probably not. So same thing when we're on social media, we want to make sure that we are actually actively speaking about what it is that we're doing and allowing people to understand the depth of work that we're actually doing, because it's life-changing and it's phenomenal. So I think that's number 1. Now, in terms of strategy, I think that this is an interesting conversation because everyone thinks that they need a specific strategy to make X, Y, and Z in their business or to get 15 more clients in their business. And whoever's selling you that is lying to you, because there's actually not a specific strategy that is going to get you X, Y, and Z in your business. It's actually, when you think of the word strategy, it's just doing something with intention. So it's just getting on social media and being intentional with the things that you're posting. It's about understanding your dream client and speaking to them and using language that they understand, not coaching jargon, not using crazy anterior, posterior language, because a general population client will not know what that is. It's actually about actively being on your socials and speaking about what it is that you do. It's about social proof. It's about results. It's about showcasing the work that you are doing and your own opinions, voice, personality, everything like that. So there is not a one strategy that fits every business, and it's going to be different for every individual. And like I said before, if we posted the same thing, Sig, it's like people are going to resonate with your post more than they would with mine, just based on who they vibe with more. And I know that sounds really washy and woo-woo, but it's true. Like when you go into a store and you have a salesperson who's a little bit rude to you, the first thing that you think is, I'm not buying from here. Then you go into the store next door and the person is lovely and you guys start talking about life and you're like, wow, that person was fucking amazing. I'm going to buy everything in here because actually that salesperson was so lovely to me. And automatically you just pick up on the vibes of people and you're going to want to purchase from someone or buy from someone or work with somebody based on that as well.
I love that analogy because too often I have walked into stores and I either don't get greeted, hello, or there's like no acknowledgement, and I literally just walk in and I walk out straight away.
Literally. It's so bad.
It's not ideal, but it's a great way of coaches noticing like how can they market themselves better. And like you said, the most common problem is people are saying that they're not making sales. It's just like, well, are you actually fucking selling?
Yeah. And another thing that we should actually touch on as well is in terms of the marketing thing, and it's just probably the most important thing that I should have said at the start, but it slipped my mind and I'm saying it now, is having offers that are really great. So if you are somebody who's new in the industry or you're starting your business, don't come in guns blazing with 6 different ways that people can work with you. I think it's really important that when you start your business, I built my business to multiple 6 figures having one offer. Because I got in, I mean, technically 2, because I was doing face-to-face coaching and online one-on-one coaching. But when you look at it, it's one-on-one coaching, right? So when I got into the industry, I decided I'm going to become the master of my art. I'm going to be that good at getting people results that offer sells itself, because people know that if they work with me, they're going to get X, Y, and Z result. So I worked for like 3 years on becoming really, really good at understanding how to transform women's bodies, how to get them strong, how muscle growth happens, how fat loss occurs, all of the things. I educated myself. I got really good at it. And then that started to sell itself. So the offer that I actually had was magnetizing for other people instead of focusing on having 6 different things. So one-on-one coaching, training only, nutrition only, group training program. It's too much. And we get this thing for like people who are wanting to buy. What's the word? I can't think of the word. Consumers who are wanting to buy, they get this thing called analysis paralysis. When there's too many options, it's easier for that human to be like, I'm not doing any of it. So make it simple for your audience. You've got one way to work with me. This is the results that you can expect. This is the life-changing work we're going to do. And really focus on making that offer so magnetizing that people can't say no.
It's so true. God, the amount of times I've come across coaches' profiles and there's like 7 different services, I get overwhelmed and I'm not even going to consume their work. So it's just like, imagine what the everyday person is looking and going, whoa, well, like, how am I supposed to decide? Is like way too much, which is a really good point. So hopefully a lot of coaches are going to take this on board and be like, how can I be a little bit more specific or minimize services and putting them into one specific container?
Sorry, just one more thing on that. It also helps with scalability of your business, right? So longer term thinking, if you're getting into your business right now and you're thinking potentially I want to hire a co-coach later on, or I want to have this company where I have coaches who work underneath me. If you work on becoming really good at one thing, this is going to help your scalability of your business in the long term. So for me, I got really good at being a one-on-one online coach, face-to-face coach. That then I had a wait list of 400 girls. I then opened an 8-week challenge, cringe, opened an 8-week challenge and started siphoning the girls that were on the wait list into the 8-week challenge. I then had 2 co-coaches working underneath me who were running 2 separate challenges at the same time. So this was enabling me to then scale my business because I mastered the art of being a fucking incredible coach to begin with. Then from there, all of the other things started happening.
Yeah, it's so important to have that understanding and how effectively you'll be able to move and obviously make sure that you're making a little bit more revenue from that.
Yeah.
In terms of revenue, like we've been talking about the marketing side of things and offers, what's your insight about an effective way of determining their prices and their rates as a coach?
Yeah, pricing is such a good conversation, actually. And I'm so happy that you asked me this because so obviously we need to preface, pricing should be based on experience, in my opinion, right? Now, you guys don't need to roll with that as Bible or gospel, but I really think, obviously, when you're looking at getting into the industry, you don't want to be pricing something that's incredibly high and out of people's reach, because the way I look at it is when we get into the industry, when we're starting a business, is we want to get experience with as many people as we can. Now, on the flip side of this, we also don't want to be undercharging for our level of service. So there's an analogy that I use with my clients all of the time. It's let's not be the Aldi of the industry. So when you look at Aldi and you look at Woolworths and you think fresh, the quality is going to be great. We know that it's going to be easy. I can get it delivered to my house. When you look at Aldi, you automatically think this is the cheaper option. Maybe the quality is not going to be as good. Would I buy my produce from there? I'm not sure. P.S. I absolutely love Aldi. I'm not shitting on them. I'm just saying. So the same thing is going to happen when people come across your Instagram and see if you're a coach who's only charging $30 for online coaching. It's like a lot of people might actually look at that, because this is how our brain works. It's the same reason as why people buy Prada over buying a Kmart bag, is because they look at Prada and the price of it and think, naturally, this is more value for money because it's going to last longer and the quality is going to be better. So when you're undercutting yourself and there's other people in the industry who are charging, say, $90 for the same service that you're charging $30 for, naturally people might start to look at that and be like, well, this $30 service, she actually doesn't know what she's talking about, which means I might not get the results that I desire. Where this person who's priced it at $80 or $90 by pricing seems like they know more than you, or seems like their quality of service is going to be better than yours. So there's definitely a sweet spot. We don't want to be undercharging, but we also don't want to be charging too high early days of business. So I would start probably around whatever feels comfortable and good for you, that you feel confident in selling and talking about. I think that's a really important part too. If you're charging $200 a week and every time you get in a sales consult, you know, stutter around the price point because it feels a little bit too much for you. It's like, okay, maybe we need to reduce the price a little bit. So when you're selling, you feel more confident and comfortable selling it. So for early stages of business, I would start around maybe the $50 to $70 mark per week. I think that's a really good price point. Once you start getting clients in the door, then you can start getting, you know, testimonials and results, and you can start posting about the work that you're doing with your clients, and you can naturally start to increase your prices.
It's so true. And too often, as you mentioned, like whether you're shopping at Prada or Aldi, it doesn't significantly mean if you're paying more money, it's going to be a better service.
No. Yeah, I agree. And I always say this analogy as well. I'm the queen of analogies. Honestly, if anyone needs me, it's analogies.
So now we have a better understanding of what coaches should be pricing effectively according to the, you know, the experiences, the qualifications, the time that they've been in the industry. Now that they have a better understanding of all of this around branding, marketing, pricing, how can online coaches effectively leverage social media and online communities to potentially build more of a thriving client base?
Love this. You are coming with me hot with some good questions today, girlfriend. These are so good. I love this because I think we need to look at, you cannot beat experience and skin in the game. So when you're early stages of business, you're going to look at a lot of coaches online and be like, oh my God, that person's an overnight success. They like started their coaching business 6 weeks ago and now they have 100,000 followers and they're working with 7,000 people. And it's like, that is very, very rare to happen. Majority of the time, every quote unquote overnight success you're looking at has been in the industry for 5, 10, 15 years, and nothing beats skin in the game. So when you look at even me and Sig's businesses, and Sig, I'm saying this for you because I already know that this is what would have happened. We have been on social media for 5, 10 years. Both of us have replied to every single email inquiry, DM. We have posted content nearly every single fucking day for the last 5 to 10 years. We have been active on our social media. We've been showing up on our stories. We've been creating email lists. We've been creating websites every day for 6 years, and nothing beats skin in the game. So when you are wanting to leverage your social media, you need to understand that you need to be really consistent and you need to build out content that is shareable. No fucking boring content around here, guys. None of it. We want to make sure that when someone comes across your content, when you, like, for example, when you're on TikTok and you see a video and you're like, oh my God, I'm sending that to my best friend. That's so funny. Are we producing content in our business where people are seeing it? That changes my life. I resonate with that. That's absolutely crazy. My best friend would love that, and sending it on. Are we producing shareable content? Are we being consistent? Are we actually leveraging our unique opinions in the online space? There is no quick way to gain Instagram followers or get social media fame. And to be honest, if you're chasing that, it's probably never going to work for you. I've worked with so many business owners who have had under 1,000 followers or under 2,000 followers and are making 10, 15, 20, 30K months in their businesses. So Instagram followers doesn't matter, but leveraging social media in this day and age is really, really important. So consistency, great content creation, shareable content, allowing your personality to come across, speaking on your stories, letting people into your life a little bit is really important too. The way you lead your life, incredibly important, because people are going to watch that. You are going to inspire them and they are going to want to work with you.
Such a good point, because too often people will think, oh, I will post, for the next 2 weeks. And if they don't see a result, they're like, oh, I just want to give up. This is not the game. But I'm so glad that you brought it up, because consistency always fucking wins. You just have to consistently go at it. And I remember not long ago, we were actually talking about a coach who announced how he wanted to give up straight away. Not straight away. He wanted to give up within like the 7-year mark. But then after the 7 years, on his 8th year, had a massive turnaround and he became very successful in his eyes, because again, success looks very different to anyone.
Yeah.
It just shows you like how serious or how determined are you to be in this game, to change lives, as you mentioned, like market yourself and branding and so forth. And then obviously investing in a mentor who will be able to, leverage a little bit more from that.
And look, business is so multifaceted. And like, if any of you that are listening follow me or Sig on Instagram, you'll see that we're very big around like the mindset. So business and mindset correlate. And if you don't have a bulletproof mindset, if you're not actively strengthening your emotional intelligence, if you're not actively working on the human behind the business, you are going to find business really fucking hard. You're going to find it constantly being an uphill battle, because business literally strips you naked. And what I mean by that is you are literally like completely naked. You're vulnerable. You're on social media, you're putting yourself out there, you're getting rejected left, right, and center. You're doing free work left, right, and center. You're replying to DMs left, right, and center. Like, it is going to strip you to your core. So I think it's really important. I just wanted to add this in towards the end of the podcast, is like working on your mindset as the human behind the business is going to catapult your business 10 steps ahead of you way quicker than just focusing solely on, I need the next best strategy. Yes, everything we spoke about today is very, very, very important. Don't get me wrong. But we also need to just preface mindset around business. Like, business is a personal development journey, and it's the biggest one you will ever go on in your whole life. So if you're getting into business, you're thinking about it, come in with an open mind, understand that it's going to take time. You need to be consistent, and also buckle in and enjoy the ride, because it's fucking fun.
That brings me to the last question, and it ties in really nicely in regards to the mindset, the consistency, everything that we have spoken about. How do you recommend online coaches to establish more meaningful connections with their clients and keeping them, I don't like the word motivated, engaged in their journey?
Yeah. So client retention in your business is so important. One, it takes the stress out of you constantly having to find new clients to fill your books when your clients are constantly leaving. We don't want to have that issue of, oh, I sign a client for a 12-week minimum term. Every 12 weeks that roll around, they leave. And then every 12 weeks, I need to find more clients. So actually nurturing your customer journey and your client journey is very, very important. And the way that I like to do this is firstly, treating your fucking clients like a human, not a number in your business. Really important, because everyone that steps foot into my business, I know everything about them, from their boyfriend's name, their dog's name, what they do on the weekend, who their best friend is. I take a lot of care and attention to detail and actually knowing my clients to their core, because firstly, I love them. Secondly, building that connection and friendship with your clients is really, really powerful and really, really important for them to feel safe in your space, seen and heard, which also then allows them to get the results that they want and that you want for them as well. So big thing for me is treating your clients like a human, not a fucking number. Second thing is making sure that you're actively paying attention to the things that they're talking to you about. So, you know, if they're going through a breakup or they're going through something really fucked in their life at the moment, it's like actually checking in with them and seeing how they're going. Asking if they're okay, if they need extra support. Sending them extra resources if they've asked a question about, you know, sleep. Sending them an extra resource on that. And just having attention to detail and showing that you actually care is really cool. Another thing that I also like to do is I've built out like a Facebook community where I can post like educational resources in there as well. So they're getting extra value coming into my coaching space too.
I love that. It's so real to have this conversation again, because too often we'll see a lot of coaches going through clients quite quickly, and it definitely questions me, going like, why are you tuning through these clients so quickly? And again, it's the lack of honesty, the lack of trust, the lack of the connection that you're having with clients.
And also understanding communication styles. I think that that's a bit rogue, but it makes a lot of sense. Like, you know, when I was training men at the start of my business journey, I could turn around to a guy and probably be a little bit more savage with them. I could tell them that they haven't trained this week, like what the fuck's going on, pull them to a higher standard relatively easier. However, I can't do that with my female clients because naturally as women, same as me, I'm more emotional. Like if my coach comes at me, I'm going to be like, oh my God, I want to quit. Like I'm like that. So I know that my clients are probably going to be like that. So actually understanding communication styles. Do your clients need tough love? Do they need a little bit more of a soft and gentle approach? Are they the type of clients that need to be pushed and called out? Or are they the type of clients that actually want to just maintain and progress in their own way with your guidance, support, and accountability? And really understanding the two things, because I see so many times like a coach, obviously as a PT, we're known as like the military sergeant, like go hard, go hard. It's like, I see a lot of coaches doing that, go hard, no cheat days, no this, no that. And then all of their clients are leaving because their client's just Gen Pop who wants to just move their body, feel healthy, be strong in the gym.
Yeah, there's always a different way of going about it. Definitely.
Always.
Kate, thank you so much for joining me today, babe. This conversation has led us to many ways for coaches to start diving a little bit deeper about exactly what messages they want to bring across their social media, how they're wanting to market themselves, and how to build more of a stronger foundation with the clients. And like you said, that's one of the key main things of being a good fucking coach.
Absolutely. That was such a fun conversation. You came hard with the good questions. I love it.
I always do, babe. I always do. Well, girls, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please make sure that you screenshot it, tag us at the Women's Fitness Academy, tag myself, tag Kate. And then till next time, stop putting out boring content and start showing your goddamn face.
Woo!